We all didn't think it was like real until we heard the gunshot.
The St. Louis community marking a somber remembrance today.
I said, hey, hey, hey. No sooner as I said that, he immediately aimed that AR-15 at me and shot at me.
It's been 1 year since Central VPA was the scene of a shocking school shooting that left student Alexzandria Bell and teacher Jean Kuczka dead.
I'm in pain because my city is in pain.
This morning, we take a look at the school security changes in the aftermath and how to offer comfort to your kids as they seek answers.
This morning, the St. Louis community is reflecting on a deadly school shooting 1 year later.
Today marks 365 days since a gunman opened fire at Central Visual Performing Arts High School in South City.
And this morning, we are bringing you team coverage as we remember the lives lost 1 year ago today. Our Mercedes McKay and Alex Fees join us live from Central Visual Performing Arts High School in South City. Alex is going to give us some insight on how to talk to your kids about a tragedy like the one that unfolded last year.
But let's start with Mercedes, who spoke with a survivor and has an update on the investigation for us. Mercedes?
Rennie and Michelle, the shooting here at Central Visual and Performing Arts High School 1 year ago today changed this community forever. St. Louis Public Schools administrators, as well as teachers and students here at the high school, it's a day they'll never forget. And personally, for me as a journalist, it's a day I'll never forget either. Today, St. Louis Public Schools will honor that by holding a day of remembrance for student Alexzandria Bell and teacher Jean Kuczka, who were shot and killed that day. Classes are canceled at CVPA and the Collegiate School of Medicine and Bioscience in honor of it. I spoke with Raekwon Strickland, who was a senior when the shooting happened. We got to know Raekwon well as he stepped up for his class and organized several events after the tragedy. He told me that this tragedy taught him to appreciate life.
It helped me to realize that you cannot take life for granted, because so many people don't realize how life can truly flash before your eyes. It helps you appreciate people. It helps you appreciate the loved ones, because you never know when your last is your last.
Less than 24 hours ago, the St. Louis Police released this update on social media about the school shooting investigation. The department says it has been an extensive investigation, but they are close to wrapping it all up. They'll release all of the information once they are finished. Mayor Tashara Jones made these remarks about the somber milestone.
I'm always thinking of the people who we lost to that tragedy, to those families, but also I want to reiterate to our children that it's only been a year and it's still okay not to be okay.
Manfred McGee says as soon as his son woke up from anesthesia, he began inspiring him with his strength.
He immediately got up and started walking. It showed me his will and his determination to rise from where he was.
It's been a year since that moment when 16-year-old Anthony, seen here, was rushed into an ambulance.
What happened seems like it happened yesterday.
He's a parent, he's the dean of students, and he's a survivor of the shooting himself. We first talked to him just 20 minutes after his son got out of surgery last year.
I stepped into the hallway to find out, a little bit more about what was going on. At that moment, the shooter was in the hallway and fired a shot at myself and another coworker.
McGee's son was shot at the same time as his favorite teacher, Jean Kuczka.
Sometimes Miss Kuczka would take Anthony with her on field trips at the school when it wasn't his field trip.
She did not survive. Neither did fellow student Alexzandria Bell.
To be shot, to see one of his favorite teachers be shot, to help people get out of the room after it, to come look for me, he experienced some trauma on different levels.
So did his father. The shooter, Orlando Harris, was one of his former students.
As bad as I hate it happened, the reality is that all of the lives that were lost in this situation is horrible and horrific. I feel for his mother.
The building where McGee has worked for the past 13 years reopened in January. He and his son walked back in together.
But what I did say to him was, just try it and see what happens.
It was good for the both of them.
It allows us not to be fearful of what had transpired.
Still, father and son have their moments, like the time someone used a jackhammer outside the school.
That was a trigger for Anthony to hear unexpected loud pops.
Fire drills can trigger trauma, too.
Fire alarm was pulled that day.
Now, drills must be announced.
When you prepare the students for it, it allows them to adjust their mindset to know it's going to happen.
Since then, they found new ways to bond. And his son was an honored guest at Miss Kuczka's daughter's wedding this past weekend.
As long as he's okay, I'll be okay. I mean, I have my moments. But after every storm, sometimes you have to clean up after the storms. And you remember the storms, but you can't stay where you are. You got to push forward.
And he says, find the strength to get up, just like his son did. Christine Byers, 5 on your side.
Yeah, okay, so just about 2 hours ago, I spoke to the superintendent, and she expressed the heaviness of today, and she talked about all of the changes that have happened in exactly 1 year. Now, when it comes to security, St. Louis Public Schools shares it's spent an extra $2.5 million extra dollars on new video surveillance, alarm systems, door locks, specialty doors, and windows. It hired 30 extra security officers, and additional training was included. Beyond that, additional counselors have been on site to help students and staff heal. Other changes also include leadership. CVPA has a new principal this year, and the district overall has a new superintendent, Keisha Scarlett. While she just started her role July 1st, Scarlett said there's a connection. She said she first heard about St. Louis Public Schools when she saw the CVPA shooting on TV. Now Scarlett wants to help students and faculty in the days to come.
Understanding that I'm an outsider, and so I didn't have the experience, but there is still a connection, as well. And I build connection and become an insider and grow in my relationships in the school district. They have a special place in my heart because that was the connection point for me.
She also extends her love to St. Louis. She said the community has truly stepped up on that day and every day moving forward, including a year out. Reporting in St. Louis, Christina Cornell, 5 on your side.
This morning, our Central VPA team coverage continues with Alex Fees and the latest efforts to take steps forward towards healing. Good morning, Alex.
Michelle, good morning. As the community here continues to honor student Alexzandria Bell and teacher Jean Kuczka, it can be a difficult time for parents, adults, and even children to navigate their grief at a time like this.
Because that guides how a parent can have the discussion. A lot of times we avoid having these discussions because you're struggling to find the right thing to say.
Washington University child psychologist Dr. Neha Navsaria says young children have a pretty narrow worldview, so they might have one piece of information and that might define how they view the world. So you need to provide them with context at a time like this. With older children, you can start the conversation out open-ended and follow their lead. Navsaria says children are looking for what can be done to ensure this won't happen to them. She says you can connect them to organizations, for instance, that tackle gun safety. The key is to reframe the child's anxiety and provide them with a way to be proactive.
Reassuring them by saying, well, these are all the things that adults in your life and in your school are doing to ensure your safety.
A day of reflection and remembrance at Central Visual and Performing Arts High School. Today marks 1 year since a former student opened fire at a school in South St. Louis, killing 15-year-old Alexzandria Bell and teacher Jean Kuczka. Several others were injured. Classes were canceled today so that the community could focus on healing and remembering the victims. There have been a lot of changes in the last year. More than $2.5 million has been spent on new video surveillance, alarms, locks, specialty doors, and windows. There's also more security officers. School leaders say students and staff have worked hard to heal from the tragedy.
There's no playbook, there's no guidebook for this, and there's no way around it. You have to just kind of move through it as well. And so we're just moving through it together.
New tonight, our I-team is looking into the police investigation into the CVPA school shooting.
1 year later, police say they can't release any more information. Our Christine Byers pushes for answers on why the investigation is still open.
For the last year, we've heard the heartbreaking moments from parents reflecting on the day of the CVPA shooting, like Manfred McGee, the dean of students whose 16-year-old son was shot in the leg.
I think for people sitting on the outside looking in, they may look at it as a year later. But I look at it as something that happened a year ago that I've been dealing with every day since it happened.
And Danita Watkins, who told us in April about her 15-year-old daughter who was shot in the leg and jumped from a third-floor window to escape.
Some days she's, seems like she's happy, but some days I can see like depression in my daughter.
Families still reeling and police still investigating.
It's a very, very large, in-depth investigation that we certainly want to make sure that we document everything.
Which means that until the report is complete, the department won't release much. The I-team has filed multiple records requests for the police report, surveillance, and body camera video. And we've asked for an interview with the police chief. The department denied all of those requests. Department spokesman Sergeant Charles Wall shed some light on the delays during a video call last week.
There's just a lot that has to be documented. It's my understanding that the report at this point may be hundreds of pages long.
Wall says part of the delay is because there were also hundreds of students, staff, and police officers from multiple agencies involved.
Certainly, it has been a priority for our agency. It is something that we are doing everything we can to get it done as quickly as we can. It's just it's a very, very large, in-depth investigation.
The I-team also requested information from the St. Louis Public School District about security. Today, the district's security budget is $10.5 million. That's up from $8 million before the shooting. That additional $2.5 million mostly paid for additional video surveillance and intrusion alarm systems. As for that police report, McGee says it doesn't matter much to him.
I don't really have any lingering questions because I was there. What they did that day and the short amount of time that they arrived on the scene to neutralize that situation.
The police department spokesman tells me they hope to have the report finalized in the coming weeks. For the I-team, Christine Byers, 5 on your side.